Man, who would have guessed? The prophecy is one step closer to getting completed. Sean O Malley is the 135-pound champion of the world. And next up, we've got Sean Strickland versus Izzy coming up. And then once Sean Strickland wins, it's all up to Colby Covington to complete this trifecta. But man, I couldn't have been the only one who thought it looked so weird seeing that belt around Sean. It just didn't look right. I remember watching his Contender Series fight right after it happened, and I thought to myself, well, look, he's definitely an oddity. He's got a very interesting style. I wouldn't expect somebody as frail and skinny as he is to have the knockout power that he's got, but just looking at his skill set here, I mean, there's no way he's really going to get to the top of the sport. I mean, there's just no way. But he is completely unrecognizable since then. The improvements he's made over these last many years has been absolutely outstanding. As I discussed in my breakdown video on the matchup between Sean and Aljo, everybody was saying that this fight was going to be just like Aljo versus Corey Sandhagen. Sterling just needs to get a hold of him. He's going to ragdoll him, take his back, lock in the body triangle, and rear naked choke him. The thing is, Aljo may have been able to do that if he got the fight to the ground. But what makes taking a guy like Sean down so scary is that he is a sniper with legit one-punch knockout power. Corey Sandhagen doesn't have that. There is a lot less risk when pressuring Corey. Yeah, you gotta look out for the flying knees, but they're much easier to avoid than punches. And the one thing that was so apparent in this fight was Aljo was really respecting Sean's power and speed. Sean's footwork was so high level, Aljo could not cut him off. He kept being able to circle out into open range. Every single time Sean feinted, Aljo reacted heavily. The reason Peter Yan was able to wrestle Sean way more than Aljo did was because Peter Yan is a high-level striker. He was able to hide his takedowns behind very well-placed strikes. The issue Aljo was having was he couldn't shoot naked because Sean's just going to D him up. So he needs to hide his takedowns behind punches. But when you're fighting a sniper like Sean O Malley and you're not that good of a striker, you're going to get countered the second you extend. And that's exactly what happened. But this actually segues very nicely into the point of today's video. We all knew it was coming. The first comment under the UFC's Instagram post declaring that Sean O Malley was the new bantamweight champion was, and I quote, "Are we not gonna act like Merab's just gonna immediately take the belt off him?" Look, I completely get it. Sean and Peter Yan had an absolute war. Merab 50-45'd Peter. And it wasn't like the 5 rounds were close, but Merab just edged each one out. No, Yan kind of got ragdolled. Why on earth is that not going to happen to Sean? Well, look, it might happen to Sean. There's certain reasons why it might, but there's also some reasons why it won't. The reason Sterling was a nightmare matchup for Sean was if it went to the ground at all during that fight, good chance Sean would have lost. On the ground, Aljo's control and submission threat is unmatched at 135. Now, Merab, this isn't the case. If he gets Sean down, Sean's probably gonna get back up. But the issue is, Merab will not stop. All 5 rounds, he will be pressuring takedowns every 5 seconds. But let's look at Merab's last 2 fights. Because his last 2 fights is when he really brought it to the next level. That was against Jose Aldo and then Peter Yan. Against Jose Aldo, Merab didn't land a single takedown. What he did was he pushed Aldo up against the fence and then held him there. And Daniel Cormier really described what was going on in this fight perfectly.
But do you guys see him as winning in these situations here?
He's certainly not losing.
He's not losing. I mean, the reality is this, right? It may not weigh much, but what it does is it doesn't allow Aldo to get any offense going. So what are you judging Aldo on if he cannot throw anything?
When they were separated out in the open, Jose Aldo just wasn't getting any offense going. He was way too passive. He was hanging back too much. really didn't score any points. So when the fight ended, Aldo didn't give the judges anything to really score. Merab didn't do anything crazy, but him holding him against the fence, landing his knees to the leg, is more than what Aldo did, which was nothing. So, of course, Merab wins that fight. But yeah, like I said earlier, though, he destroyed Petr Yan, and no one was expecting that. But if you look at Petr Yan's style, and you look at how he fought in that fight, it's pretty clear to why he got destroyed. For one, just getting this out of the way to start, Merab looked a lot more jacked than Petr did, which is definitely going to help in the wrestling exchanges, that's for sure. But two, as many of you know, Petr Yan comes from a boxing background, and the way he likes to land counters is he covers up, he likes to catch a few punches on his arms, and then counter from there. But where this really failed him in this matchup, and where I was really surprised that Petr wasn't making any adjustments, was over and over and over again, like clockwork. Merab would move forward, throw like a 1-2-1-2, Petr Yan covers up, puts his hands up, and every time he covers up, Merab would just dive under on the legs. Every single time. There were a few instances when Merab would shoot when Petr wasn't covered up, and Yan was able to completely stuff the takedown immediately. But because almost every time he had his hands up when Merab was diving on his legs, Merab was getting deep on these takedowns. And in the beginning, for sure, Petr was able to stay upright, but he had to really work to defend these. And then towards the end of the fight, once Petr got exhausted, he started getting taken down. I don't want to take anything away from Merab, but seriously, someone as high level as Petr Yan should have been able to make some more reads here. Now, I know for one, in the second round, I believe, Yan's leg got severely compromised from a few good calf kicks. That probably played a big role. And also, Petr was probably shook by Merab's cardio. It seemed like he kind of got that 1,000-yard stare that Edson Barbosa got while fighting Khabib. Not quite as extreme, but I saw it there a little bit. Now, Sean O Malley, being so tall, so long, Merab's going to really need to work to get on the inside. And when Merab comes with a couple 1-2s to try to set up a takedown, Sean's not covering up. Sean is looking for counters. And like we just saw, Sean only needs one opening and one punch to end the fight. If the fight gets into the later rounds, Merab's going to take it. I don't think anybody at 135 can match Merab's cardio. No way. But it is so much easier said than done to get on the inside on O'Malley. Merab's going to be trying to pressure. Sean's going to be constantly moving, constantly feigning, just waiting for Merab's first punch to try to counter over the top. Because Sean's going to see it from a mile away. Merab is 5'6". Sean's 5'11". 68-inch reach versus a 72-inch reach. But who knows? Maybe Cheeto's going to make Sean's leg go numb again and become the new champ. I mean,